How in general mobile-based applications can simplify the overall project lifecycle in solar PV? The Step Solar tool increased the productivity of front loading for a certain sales and engineering team. Is there any sort of licensing required for the solar PV installers?
We are the world's fastest growing form of energy out there.
Junaid, what is Step Robotics and the Step Solar tool?
So Step Robotics is the company name and Step Solar is the tool. It's a solar proposal tool for the installers. Basically it comprises of a portal where an installer has a complete CRM. They can manage all their sales teams. Along with it, as an extension to the portal, we also have our own proprietary lens that goes on the front camera of your phone and converts the phone not only into a sales proposal tool, but you also can perform site analysis as well as shading analysis. So together, both of these create a complete solution for a proposal generation.
What was your vision towards developing Step Solar tool from its conceptualization to its commercialization as compared to other tools available in the market?
So I personally started my solar company in 2008 and I was actually on job sites with the clients doing site analysis and selling them system. One of the problems was that when I met the client the first time, they would be warm and fuzzy and I would make an initial proposal to them. But then to make a final proposal, I had to drive back to the office, connect my shading tool with the PC, download all the data, and then once I had it, I would find the best equipment providers, the best financing, and then create a final proposal. And after I had all of that done, it would take me about a day to do all of those. And after I had it done in a day's time, I would call up the client to set up a follow-up meeting. The client at that time usually would decline it. He would say, email me the proposal. And that's where I knew that I lost about 70% of my clients. The reason is that solar is a big ticket item and you need, as an installer, you need to be there to walk the client through his final proposal and then to show them what their savings are going to be, how the tax credits are going to come in. Otherwise they get a sticker shock and they end up not doing anything, which is actually even worse for them because they don't take advantage of all the savings. So the whole idea of Step Solar tool was what if I could go on a job site, complete my site analysis, complete my shading analysis, and give them a concrete proposal right there on the job site without having to spend half a day to a day in just the overhead, and then I wouldn't even have to lose all of my clients because I'd be there to walk them through the proposal.
What, from your perspective, was the most challenging aspect to develop and launch Step Solar tool?
So, if you are doing a site analysis, and for those of us that have been on the job site, you are usually fighting for a foot and a half to be able to fit all your panels on the rooftop. Now, in those circumstances, you need your shading analysis to be very accurate. The biggest challenge was that we had this commercial device that had large tolerance, and how do you get the accuracy of a device that is in comparison a scientific device, for example a Solmetric Suneye, and they have very low tolerance. So how do you get an accuracy higher than those devices with a commercial device? And we did a lot of effort in developing our lens. We used advanced physics to make the equations of the lens orthogonal to the equation of the camera. So even if you move the lens around, the image doesn't move more than half a pixel. And just to kind of give you an idea, to put things in perspective, you have about 5 million pixels onto this phone. And if you move your image by about 2 pixels, that makes a difference of 1.5% in accuracy. So to make a device that would take out all of the inaccuracies of the manufacturing, and basically you overcome those hurdles by using advanced science in there, and that was one of the biggest challenges I faced.
Serves as the biggest inspiration for the developers, which you can conclude has been in this entire time frame of Step Solar's development.
So we started off developing this shading analysis tool, and then we evolved it into a complete platform. And during this time, it's a long development cycle. The thing that always kept us growing and going was the quality of the results that we were producing, and then to have a sense of achievement, saying that yes, we have enabled the solar industry with a very affordable tool that is going to help them sell more solar. Just knowing that you're making a big difference in the world is the biggest inspiration that has driven our team.
What problem led to the approach to develop the mobile application-based solar PV system design software?
So in today's world, the web applications are pretty limiting. You have to have a PC, probably be sitting in an office doing it. But if you look at the penetration of the mobile phone, that gives you mobility out in the field. And basically, the biggest driver for our system is that an installer can be out in the field and do a site analysis, and the manager can see in real time what he's doing. So to have that instantaneous connectivity with the back office provides a level of efficiency that's not seen just with a web-based tool.
How broadly does the Step Solar mobile application-based tool work?
So basically, we have weather files for the global industry, and wherever those weather files are available, the tool will work perfectly well. So we basically have all these sources of data that comes in. So you could be sitting in Uganda or Nigeria, and you would be able to produce perfectly accurate shading analysis. Now, that's just from the weather perspective. From the rebate perspective, a lot of things change between different regions, and then you have different rate plans as well. So we have the ability to define tiered rate plans. We have the ability to define time of use rate plans, how the net metering is functioning between them. We have the ability to define different incentives as well. So the tool is completely customizable. We have yet to come across a situation where the tool is deficient and does not cater, or you cannot configure it to work in a certain jurisdiction. Within that tool, we have a configuration menu where you can go in and customize it as per the needs of that particular jurisdiction.
The Step Solar tool increase the productivity of front loading for a certain sales and engineering team?
So basically, in every sales and engineering team, you have the 20-80 rule, where 20% of your sales reps are bringing in about 80% of your business. Now, what if you can actually make your hard hitters' job easier? So that way you can have a smaller team and produce 4 times the results that you would produce otherwise. That's the challenge. And that's where Step Robotics tools comes in, where it takes approximately 15 minutes to go from site analysis to a proposal generation and to be able to present to the homeowner. So that's one part of it. Now, to get good synergy between the back office as well as the front office, you need to have 2 things. The first one is the communication between the sales team as well as the back office. That happens instantaneously on our portal. So whatever the installer is doing in the field instantaneously gets uploaded on the back end. The second part is an installer doesn't know what's actually available to them from their distributor. What's in stock, what's the best price if there's a special going on. Step Solar actually helps with that as well. It's actually connected to the warehouse of your distributor that's close by and is able to provide all of that information at real time.
How does Step Solar tool compete with other finance software tools available in the market for similar objectives?
So there are 2 parts to this answer. The one is the accuracy of the production numbers. Many of the tools require a lump sum shading information. So you could have a shading event happening just when the cost of energy is the highest, and that's going to have a much bigger impact on your payback versus having it in a time when the off-peak production numbers are taken care of. So in this, because both the shading as well as the payback is connected, Therefore, those results are optimized for the payback numbers. The second part is that we have one of the most advanced payback analysis that's happening. We take into effect the tax implication of any rebates, whether the state tax is going to affect the federal tax, and how the whole thing plays in. So that level of complexity is there. And you can take this proposal and present it to a CFO of a Fortune 500 company. They will look at it and say, yes, it is correct to the nth degree. So they don't have to spend time trying to recreate their own payback analysis in this regard.
What do you think when I say Step Solar Lens app combo can give a tough fight to Solmetric Suneye or the Sun Pathfinder?
So the Solmetric Suneye and Sun Pathfinder were really ahead of their time when they came out, and they really helped the industry move forward. But they had certain constraints in the electronics that they had available at that time. And with Step Robotics, we are using the latest technology. Now, one of the major differences is that whatever you do on a Step Robotics site analysis is stored online forever. It's instantaneously available to the backend team. You can always go and look at your data. So those are just normal things that come with today's technology. But there was this study done by University of Oregon that compared the results between Step Solar and Sun Pathfinders as well as Solmetric Suneye. They found that Step Robotics tool was about 5 to 10% more accurate than Solmetric Suneye. And that's just because we've developed a very high quality lens, but also that we have access to better technology. But the biggest difference is not in the accuracy of the shading analysis. With a Step Solar tool, we also have a production tool as well as a payback tool. So you specify what equipment, how many strings, how many panels per string, and it will run simulations for the whole year and tell you exactly what the clip-offs are, what the output is going to be. As well as we also have integrated the whole payback tool where it knows the selling and buying price of electricity, and combines all of that information along with the 15-minute shading information. So at the end, what you have is a very comprehensive proposal.
How in general mobile-based applications can simplify the overall project lifecycle in solar PV?
So one of the issues that happens in many companies is that they would have one or two Solmetric Suneyes, and then everybody is sharing it between the whole team. So you actually have to check it out like you check out a book from a library and come return it. And then once you actually install it, install a solar system, you have to perform a second shade analysis. In our case, every team member can have their own site analysis tool just because of the cost and the availability of it. And you can go and do a site analysis before you do a sale and after you've done the install and compare the results. So that way, we make it much easier for the whole team to kind of work together.
Where does Step Solar Tool stand from current global market scenario as compared to energy tool-based Solar Plus, Aurora, etc.?
So the biggest difference is that Step Robotics is a free tool and it works globally. Wherever you have sun, you can actually use the tool to do site analysis. So we just started marketing and sales of our tool, and we have more than 1,700 active installers in the last few months. We are seeing about 15% increase in sign up month after month. So these numbers are growing pretty rapidly. So we're pretty happy with our growth charts.
Will Step Solar Tool be able to simulate energy storage systems in future?
So Step Solar is a tool that is by the community and for the community. So we give control back to the community and we ask them, what do you want us to build next? And sometimes they say that they want this particular feature over others. So we kind of price it out and we talk to our clients and we say, hey, this is the amount of energy it's going to take us to put this particular feature in, and why don't you come together as a community and guide us what next features you want to build. Storage systems are showing up as a requirement, but it's not as pronounced as some of the other requirements that we are seeing. So we anticipate by the end of Q1, maybe middle of Q2 of next year, we'll have a storage system as well.
What on the e-governance part Step Solar tool can do in India?
So one of the biggest concerns that any government has is the security and the sanctity of the data. Now we have the same challenge with other countries, so we developed a completely different system where all of the data for the utilities as well as the client data is stored. These servers are hosted on the premises of the utilities where they have their own firewalls to protect their data. But it also works in conjunction with the cloud data. So once an application gets submitted, it becomes the property of that local government. The system is completely customizable. We have our own configurations where you can take the system from one country, replicate a copy of it in a different country, and completely customize it accordingly. So once we were developing our system, we architected it in such a way that we can do it. Now, the same problems are prevalent in many of the countries. So we have already fixed and worked through many of the teething problems with a couple, three countries, and we can do the same thing for India, where the interconnection process can come down from a month, 2 months, or whatever the time frame is, down to maybe 15 days, and also give complete visibility. The three functions of any government is to facilitate, to monitor, and to regulate. So if you regulate beyond a certain amount, you take away from the efficiency part. But with better tools, you can actually regulate as well as facilitate at the same time. And that's what we strive for.
E-governance part Step Solar has achieved in UK and Pakistan, and what is the response from EPC installer, equipment providers, and government authorities?
So this is something that's very interesting. Once we did a study of what's the biggest time sink for an installer, they really dreaded the part of actually applying for interconnection, following up with the jurisdiction on how their application is processing. So we have digitized this whole interconnection process where we've automated the whole process and how the application flows through different agencies. In many countries, you've not only one but two, even three agencies that are involved in every interconnection that happens. So by digitizing that, we've reduced the time frame between 4 months down to about 17 to 18 days. And then the installer, they don't have to make all the visits. And what we also found out was that the government functionaries at the top level, they want to facilitate renewable energy. They just don't have the ability to review and to go deep down into each organization to do it. We provide them by digitizing, we provide them with those tools where they can actually dive down into the operations of all of these net metering applications, find out the bottlenecks, and then to fix them.
Are there any sister tools of Step Solar currently present in India? How Step Solar is going to find the application in the Indian market?
So we are already working with kWatt as our primary training partner. So we're very thankful for that, and they do a wonderful job. As well as, our tool is customizable for most of the conditions for the Indian market. However, we are integrating with Helioscope as well as many drone-based other layout tools that would provide their own services in there. So we are an open platform, and anybody can use our payback tool for that regard.
We have heard that the PV installers can earn from designing and quoting from the Step Solar tool. Is it true? If yes, then what will be the impact that you're projecting in terms of market size in India?
So within our ecosystem, the installer is the most important part, and they are our clients. So we are here to help the installers. Now, when banks approach us and they want to push a certain loan or a certain equipment in front of installers, we tell them that it's the installer that's going to make the sale, either make you successful or not like your product. So what we have done is, if a bank wants to run a special, we ask them to give a little bit of money to the actual installer that's going to be making the sale. and then we also allow them some analytics to tell them how many proposals were out there, what got closed, what didn't. So that way, yes, if the bank is ready to offer an incentive to the actual sales rep, we actually provide it to them. And you would be surprised, in more than normal cases, we do have banks as well as equipment providers that want to push a certain product and they're ready to pay the final installer for those.
How competitive Step Solar tool is in making the economic sense for the overall solar PV project design as compared to other tools like PVsyst, Helioscope, PVSol, and Aurora.
So when you are quoting a system, you need to know the best price of the equipment that's out there. So I could have a really cozy, good relationship with a major manufacturer, but they would never be able to compete with somebody that has panels in overstock or some other situation, or a bank giving out a really aggressive loan. What we are doing is we're scanning the whole market and bringing those options available to the installers. So overall, what we found is that wherever we have upgraded, it has led to a reduction in the prices of equipment because it creates all this synergy between within the industry. So there is less overhead and more efficiency in the overall ecosystem.
With the Step Solar tool, what opportunities can individual and corporates create for themselves and others respectively?
So, when you're running a solar business, you not only need to control your software cost, but also the cost of equipment. It's a competitive market out there. So, with a Step Solar tool, we actually provide you with your equipment providers as well as your banks, and then you can select if you want to work with them or not. But I'll give you an example. I had an individual that started a solar company and he walks into the steel rolling mill of his friend. Turns out the guy needs a 2.5 megawatt system. Now, as a starter, installer, he didn't have the financial resources to carry the cash flows as well as he didn't have the funding to provide to his friend. So he's probably going to lose that business. Rather, what we did was we were able to connect him with one of the larger EPCs and then also connect him with different banks that were ready to fund his friend. So together, by using our platform, he was able to find the best EPC as well as the bank and able to close the deal for him. So we provide opportunities and we provide an ecosystem in which an installer can get started and be at equal footings with well-established players in the market.
Is there any sort of licensing required for the solar PV installers?
So one of our benefits of working with kWatt is that they came to us and they said, we have this training center and we want you to provide this tool to India, and we really thank them for reaching out. So they are our close partner in this regard, and as a service to whole of India as well as kWatt, we are providing it free of cost to anybody that gets training from kWatt, so that therefore you don't have to worry about any licensing fee.
What are the exclusive benefits for kWatt Solutions participants who are attending this workshop on the Step Solar tool?
So, like I mentioned, we provide the software free of cost for life for the alumni of kWatt. In addition, we've also given free license to kWatt. So, if you reach out to them and you have a good relationship, they could probably give you a license at their discretion. This said, the lens is also available to kWatt alumni at a discounted price. So overall, I would highly recommend working with kWatt on this.
Junaid, the general advice for the aspiring solar PV designers and the future opportunities in this domain.
So I would congratulate you on making this wonderful decision to work in this amazing industry of solar PV. Cost of energy through solar is the second least expensive source after nuclear. So knowing that, I have started my own company in San Diego and it grew to an Inc. 500 company. So I've taken all my learnings and put it into this tool so you can go out there and sell more solar. So I am providing and helping to connect you with equipment providers, with banks, with the government, and within your own team as well. So let us know how we can do it better for you, because you are the most important part of this whole ecosystem.